Welcome to Out of Bounds and hello from Harbin, a megacity of 10 million residents in the heart of northeastern China. In this video, we travel by a classical overnight sleeper train from here to China Railway's Northernmost Station and explore the land locals call China's North Pole. The city of Harbin has a long and rich railway heritage. Although the area had been inhabited for thousands of years, what is today Harbin was just a collection of villages along Songhua River in the late 19th century, a time when China was under pressure from a number of imperialist powers. In 1896, the Russian Empire signed a secret treaty with the then reigning Qing dynasty of China. The treaty allowed Russia to build railways through northeastern China and obtain extraterritorial rights on lands along the route. Russian surveyors chose Harbin to be the headquarters of the China Eastern Railway, and the settlement quickly grew into an international city. Russia and Japan vied for the China Eastern Railway continuously during the first half of 20th century. China was only able to resume exercising full sovereignty over the railway and lands next to it in 1952 after the defeat of Japan in World War II and the establishment of the People's Republic. The legacy of China Eastern Railway is still readily visible today, most notably at the Songhua River Railway Bridge. Constructed between 1900 and 1901, the bridge spans 1,015 meters across the Songhua River as the most critical piece of infrastructure linking Eurasian heartlands with the Pacific. The bridge endured decades of wars and turmoil and saw its rail gauge changed several times. First, from Russian broad gauge to 1435mm standard gauge in 1936 under Japan-led Manchurian Railway, then back to broad gauge in 1945 when Soviet forces captured the bridge, and finally to standard gauge again in 1946 by Chinese authorities. After 113 years of continuous service, the original steel bridge was officially retired from active use in 2014 when a new parallel high-speed railway bridge opened right beside it. The old bridge then underwent a major restoration, opening in 2016 as a pedestrian skywalk and open-air park, integrated with the nearby China Eastern Railway Museum. Now it remains one of the most iconic landmarks of Harbin, much loved by locals and visitors alike. Another legacy landmark of the China Eastern Railway is, of course, Harbin Station itself. Originally opened in 1899, the station building was upgraded to a Grand Art Nouveau structure in 1904. Due to increasing passenger flow, the 1904 station building was demolished in 1959 and replaced with more mundane buildings for a few decades. Then starting in 2014, Harbin Station underwent a major renovation, with the station building restored in the 1904 Art Nouveau style. As part of the project, the Holy Iveron Icon Church next to the station was also rehabilitated. The church, also locally known as the Saint Yvel, was originally built in 1908 for use by Russian military personnel. The church fell into disrepair during the second half of 20th century until it was reported on by local media in the late 1990s and subsequently declared a protected landmark. The station interior features many arches, combining classical elegance with modern functionality. There are also many windows that lets in plenty of natural sunlight. The large lobby is almost always filled with large crowds. As in most China railway stations, passengers have to wait for their trains inside the station building until shortly before departure, and passengers are otherwise not allowed unrestricted access onto the platforms. A bit of a bummer if you like to watch trains come and go, but I suppose if you need to efficiently and safely carry the amount of people China Railway does, compromises have to be made. On the mezzanine level of this station, there are many eateries, serving both local flavors and Western fast foods. One thing about the so-called authentic Chinese food is that most dishes are served very hot, especially foods with broth or soups. This would be fine if you like hot foods, but I personally do not, so I ordered a mixed noodle without soup so I don't need to wait for it to cool down. Today we will be taking the K7039 service, a classic overnight train from Suihua to Mohe. Harbin Station is the second stop on its 1,331-kilometer overall route, and we will travel on this train 1,194 kilometers to the northernmost station in China at Mohe. If you have a bit more time before the train, you could try finding a charging spot for your devices, or walk around and check out the station's area for children. Boarding for the train started around 30 minutes before the indicated departure time. A long line has already formed at the boarding gate, like when you would typically board an airplane. While descending down to the platforms, you get a good view of the large train shed, reminiscent of a large European station. Parked on platform 12 is the K7039 train. This train consists of 25G carriages, developed in the 1990s as an upgrade to earlier rolling stock. Although it is now a bit dated, this remains one of the most common types of classic carriages on the Chinese rail network. I got a lower berth in the soft sleeper section. Beds here have a couchette arrangement with 4 berths in each compartment. My compartment did not have passengers before Harbin, so the bed linens are still nicely folded. The soft sleeper space offers some basic conveniences, including personal reading lights and bars and hooks for small items. Larger luggage can go above the compartment door or beneath the lower bunk. Soft sleeper passengers also get disposable slippers, which I think is a nice amenity. There is 1 charging port per compartment, with additional ones located on the hallway as needed. A ticket here for the overnight journey cost me 414.5 Chinese yuan. At 16:43, train K7039 departs Harbin Station right on time.
哈尔滨局集团有限公司旅客列车，摆放在行李架上的物品尽量不要超出边缘，请不要在列车近远处吸烟。感谢您的配合。列车前方停车站c.USD站。
Minutes after the train rolls out of the station, we cross the 2014 new railway bridge over the Songhua River. This video is filmed in late March, where the calendar says it should be very much spring, but as you can see, the river is still mostly frozen. Soon, the surface will break up and large pieces of ice will flow downstream. As such, both bridges have some piers with icebreakers pointed upstream to the west, now the direction of the setting sun. Elsewhere on board, the train has a washing room convenient for rinsing fruits or personal hygiene. This train also has some hanging pockets in the hallway for people who need to use the shared charging ports. The carriage is also equipped with both squatting and sitting restrooms. At 16:56, the train passes Harbin Beiji Station to the north of the city. Beyond here, the landscape quickly becomes rural, as the setting sun lingers just above the horizon over expansive farmlands. Although located in relatively high latitudes, this region is in fact one of China's most important granaries. The fertile black soil of northeast China produces nearly 1/4 of China's total grain output, with corn, soybeans, and rice being particularly common here. We are now passing Jiaodong Station. This station first opened in 1903, with the latest renovations done in 2018. In addition to agriculture, Jiaodong also has active animal husbandry, producing dairy, meat, and poultry. The train is now passing Anda Station. Anda has rich pastures which provides high-quality fodder for cattle. Shortly after sunset, the train passes an area with many patches of frozen ponds. This is in fact the Longfeng Wetland Park, a large wetland preserve on the eastern fringe of the city of Daqing. The wetland has diverse sceneries throughout the seasons and is a key stopover point for migratory birds, where in the spring birdwatchers may spot the rare red-crowned cranes. We are now getting closer to Daqing City proper, a town famed throughout China for its petroleum industry. Prior to the 1950s, geologists generally understood China to be an oil-poor country. That all changed on September 26, 1959, when local drillers struck oil. This turned out to be the largest oil field ever discovered in China. Because this happened shortly before the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the PRC, this oil field was named Daqing, meaning great celebration in Chinese. Daqing was China's largest source of crude oil over many subsequent decades, contributing to the country's industrialization and energy independence until about the 1990s. While Daqing is no longer the single dominant source of oil for China it once was, the area remains oil-rich, and you can see many pump jacks, locally also known as kowtow machines, out the window. It's time to have dinner, and since this particular train does not have a dining car, I'll have to do with this cup noodle. The onboard staff do push a trolley up and down the train selling snacks and beverages, so at least you won't go hungry even if you didn't bring any food. China railway trains almost always have hot water dispensers on board, so it's easy to cook a cup noodle or brew some tea. We are now approaching the city of c.USD. Founded in 1691 as a military stronghold, c.USD served as the capital of Heilongjiang province for over 250 years until 1954, when the provincial capital was moved to Harbin. Today, c.USD remains Heilongjiang's second largest city with about 3.7 million residents, and the city is a major transportation hub, industrial center, and ecological sanctuary. The train is coming into a stop at platform 3 of c.USD Station. I can briefly step off to get some fresh air as the train stops here for about 10 minutes. c.USD Station traces its history to 1909, when a spur line connected the then provincial capital to the China Eastern Railway main line. It is apparent that the station is still very busy, as many trains come and go even during our brief stop here. Well, it's getting late, so time to wash up and get ready for bed. The washroom here is stocked with liquid soap and paper towels, but you'll have to bring other toiletries on your own. Now I've made the bed. The pillow is pretty soft, maybe a bit too soft, though it gets the job done. This soft sleeper lower berth is on the longer side by Chinese standards. I have a bit of room to spare, and I think people under 183 centimeters should have no problem. And there is plenty of headspace as well. Very late at night, our train makes its penultimate stop at Jiagadachi Station. If you look for Jiagadachi on a map, it looks like it is located on the eastern fringe of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region and beyond the borders of Heilongjiang Province. However, Jiagadachi is in fact a forestry area under the management of a prefecture in Heilongjiang, making it a de facto exclave of the province. The station here first opened in 1969, together with the railway to China's northern tip we're traveling on. Good morning on day 2 of the journey deep in the woods of the Greater Heilongjiang Mountains. This region is home to China's vast boreal taiga, a continuous expanse of natural forest. The forest is mostly composed of larch, birch, and pines, species well adapted to the area's long frozen winters. These woodlands serve as a sanctuary for cold climate fauna, including moose, sables, musk deer, snow rabbits, and even the endangered Siberian tiger. Historically, these forests made up one of China's primary sources of timber for many decades since the 20th century. However, after decades of intensive cutting, China issued a ban on commercial logging in 2014 in order to protect the deteriorating ecology, with local economy transitioning to more sustainable activities such as tourism. We are truly traveling through some subarctic climate. This video is again from late March, but you certainly cannot tell that by looking out the window. And while the interior of the carriages are nicely heated, the vestibules are not. And one of the fun things you can do on this train is to write or make a handprint on the frozen icy windows. The train is now passing Mohe Station, one of the typical lonely stations near the end of the line. Although we do not stop here, station staff still comes out to greet our train. The frozen river we now see is the Amur River, a tributary of Heilongjiang River, also known as the Amur River in Russia. The confluence of the two rivers is flanked by the town of Yaksa, a historical battle site between China's Qing Empire and Imperial Russia. After a dramatic river crossing, train K7039 pulls into its final stop, Mohe Station. We completed the 1,194-kilometer journey in 15 hours, 25 minutes, exactly on time. You instantly feel the crisp air upon stepping out of the train, and there are some passengers busy putting on extra layers on the platform. This is the northernmost train station in China, but our journey isn't quite over yet, as the station is still about 50 kilometers away from China's true geographical northernmost point. Among China's 4 geographical extremities, the southern one is in the sea, the western one is in desolate mountains. You can get close to the eastern one as we do in another video on this channel, but the actual easternmost point is inside a military area. So, this northernmost extremity is really the only one accessible to civilians with relative ease. I say relative because unlike when I visited the easternmost area of China, there is no officially organized day tour to the northernmost area. I know it is generally not a good idea to speak with random people offering rides outside of stations, but in this instance, hiring a car or joining a carpool here would have been an efficient way to go around the area. I still went for an official bus though, which does not in fact go to the northernmost point, but does go to Beiji Village, which is one of the northernmost settlements in China. More importantly, as I'm traveling solo, the bus ride would be a good opportunity to chat up fellow travelers and find people who also want to hire a car. The bus ride is mostly smooth. There is even a part of the highway with grooves that plays a popular song when driven through. We arrive at the Beiji Village after about an hour. The village requires an 88 yuan ticket to enter. It would be a nice place to stay, but as I had already found people to share a ride to the northernmost point, I just ended up walking around the village for about an hour. This village itself is located on the Heilongjiang River, and there is an enormous statue of a compass on a square next to the river. The river is the international border between China and Russia, so the other side of the river is Russian territory. Can you guess what the building right next to the statue is? If you guessed a marriage registry, then congratulations. As this is one of the few areas in China that regularly sees aurora borealis in the winter, I suppose this would be a romantic place to have a marriage registry. After my car is ready, we head out again to the physical northernmost land in all of China. It is located on the Heilongjiang River at a place called the Ussuri Shallow Bank, about 40 kilometers east of Beiji Village. The area is managed as another park with a 110 yuan entrance fee. This is on top of the 120 per person for the car ride. Once inside the park, we ride a shuttle bus to our destination, the northernmost point of China. It is uninhabited, though there is a symbolic military watch post and several stone steles mark the spot. At 53 degrees, 33 minutes, 42 seconds, this is officially China's very farthest north, under my feet. Slightly to the east of Ussuri Shallow Bank, visitors can climb a small mountain for great views of the snaking river, drawing an almost perfect omega in powdery white through the endless forests of the north. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this journey to China's northernmost point. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more travel and transit content. Have a great day, and see you in the next one.